The package has been acquired. It's sushi, and it's for dinner. Today is Wednesday. Oh gosh, the 13th. Wednesday the 13th? I believe it's Wednesday the 13th. 99% sure it's the 13th of December. And it's obviously the evening. I went and picked up dinner, that being sushi. Serena got paid for her work, her cheer competition she judged, and she wanted to get sushi with it, so that's what we're having. Truth be told, it's my favorite food in addition to hers, so I'm not too choked up over it. You may notice I did indeed get the haircut that I expected to get, and I am quite pleased with it. My head feels, goodness gracious, like 10 sizes smaller and cooler, to be honest with you. The first thing I noticed when the first layer of fur, so to speak, came off, I was like, holy cow, you're kind of chilly. It feels like I've been wearing a hat for the last couple of months, and then I just took it off. Like, not even just a hat, but like a beanie, you know what I'm saying? Like an all-encompassing piece of headgear. Though, like I said, it is very nice to have it off, and we'll probably maintain some shorter hair for a while here. I know for the longest time, really since the inception of the vlog and a little bit before that, I've kind of rocked the longer hair. But for the greater part of my life, this length, maybe a little bit longer than this, has been my standard MO, so to speak. So I don't know. I'll let it grow out. Of course, I'm not going to get a haircut every day, but every other week or so, we will be chopping it, as opposed to every third month. Huh. But the car is incredibly loud, so I am speaking loud to try and allow you to hear me over it, and it's dark, what's more, so I am going to probably see you back at the house. There we go. That's a bit brighter. You can tell Serena did an amazing job. Very pleased, as I said, with the haircut. So thank you again, Serena. It's significantly later now. Obviously, dinner has been dealt with, and we are getting ready for bed, but I did want to briefly talk about something I mentioned a few days ago, and that was an experiment that I was running, because it's all but wrapped up now, essentially. I have gone the last week exactly. I guess technically today was the 8th day, so one more day than a week, but I have gone this amount of time without posting any shorts to YouTube. I was still putting stuff up on Instagram and TikTok and still editing stuff to go into the shorts folder. But I think I have all the data I need. What I was aiming to learn from it was how it affected viewership in one regard, but not necessarily specifically viewership, if that makes sense. Perhaps the type of viewership would be a more accurate, I guess, descriptor of what I was looking for. And I ended up getting a little bit more information than I thought. I'm going to turn the camera around here and show you a little bit what I'm talking about. So when I started this, and we're going to be focusing in on the video views specifically, this is not... Is this accurate? So this is over the last 28 days, and I started this change right about here. I think the 5th was the last day that I posted any shorts. And it did dig down. You see what I'm saying? But not significantly. Not significantly. If anything, it's come back essentially to where it was at. So while we did get the data, I don't know that it's actionable, because conversely, while the views sort of fluctuated, maybe went down, maybe went back up slightly, the click-through rate has seemingly gone up, although slightly, and it's hard to say. Is that part of a greater trend right here? You see what I'm saying? Like, is that a trend that was going to happen regardless of the change? It almost looks like it was, in fact, if it was just course correcting. Who's to say? I don't know. I'm no statistician. I'm just trying to to learn as much as I can and make the best, most informed decisions I can about what I do with my finite time to create. Because Ultimately, I do create for fun because I enjoy it, but something that was discussed in my interview with Andrew, which will go up on next Tuesday's podcast. By the time this vlog is up, it'll probably already be up, but it'll be up on the podcast of December 19th. Something we talked about was mental health, and part of that discussion was considering numbers as a creator. And I have been someone who's tried to the numbers don't really matter. It's all about having fun. And in some aspect, that is correct. But in another aspect, it is very human to care about the numbers because the numbers are almost a direct reflection of how your work is being received, like whether or not it's quote unquote successful. You know what I'm saying? So you want to do things that make better numbers. It's a very human thing to admit that, to accept that, and it is true. So while I do want to keep myself true to what I do enjoy most of all, and that's the Let's Play stuff, obviously that's not going to change, but the shorts, I was never really doing out of a love for them. You know what I'm saying? They were just done in a way that would perhaps bring more eyes to the Let's Play stuff, and they've succeeded in that regard. I've gone over that ad nauseum. So I don't know. Seeing that there has been no real change whether or not I do them makes me feel like I don't necessarily need to do them. I still think there is some value because, right, that's a non-zero amount of people that get brought to the channel, right? Hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, depending on the short. And the fact that that's not actually registering with any real significance in the grand scheme of things is interesting to me. I don't know. I do have a backlog of shorts. As I mentioned, I still had been editing them over the past few days, that I stopped uploading them. So perhaps I'll just stop trying to behold myself to I gotta have 2-3 shorts every single day, and just be a little bit more relaxed about it. So with that said, I guess that brings me to my next point, which is another experiment. So if you go to the channel and you sort the videos specifically, not the shorts, by views, you'll see that the #1 viewed video is should you play Golden Sun on Nintendo Switch. And I don't even necessarily know what to call that, right? Like, it's not a video essay, it's definitely not a Let's Play, but closer to a video essay, if only the shortened form, right? If it's not an essay, it's a video paragraph or something, or a video short story, or a video opinion piece, whatever, something like that. I am going to be creating more of those. They're not going to replace Let's Plays or anything like that, but I'm going to start putting those out on a more consistent basis. The idea is once a week, once I get the ball rolling on that. It's all very much still in the planning phase. I have written a handful of scripts. I have, oh goodness gracious, at least a dozen now, either conceptualized or outright finished. I do have a handful of finished scripts that I'll probably get to work on in the next week or two as far as recording and editing for. But something, I don't know, something that I think I've been thinking of actually for a long time, but I was pushed more so to action on it after a conversation I had with Andrew, who is my podcast guest for the 12/19/2023 podcast that'll be going up at the time of this recording in 6 days. Something that we talked about was mental health, and part of that was how creators, think of themselves and their work, especially like the analytics and the numbers of the whole thing. And I have always, been someone who tries to ignore it, but push against it, it's all about if you're having a good time. And to a certain extent, that is absolutely true and will always be true. But part of having a good time is feeling like, your work is being appreciated, and then the numbers kind of tie into that, you know what I'm saying? So it's an interesting sort of thing to talk about, but I do believe it is very human, and that's what Andrew and I talked about. It's very human to feel that way, and I think that doing more of what has been successful on the channel, it would just be a good idea, for a number of different reasons. So we're going to try doing that for X amount of time. I don't know. I am having a lot of fun writing the scripts, so that's why they just keep adding up. I've been spending the last 30 minutes before I go to bed tonight. For whatever reason, I get really creative right before bed, and I'm just spurting out paragraph after paragraph and finishing scripts relatively quickly. So we'll see how they ultimately get compiled and received, but I'm having a good time making them, and I think they will do good things for the channel. But constantly learning, constantly evaluating, constantly looking for avenues of improvement and trying to act upon them. And hey, that's life, right? Not just as a creator, which is what I'm rambling on about, but in anything. So I hope that you also find ways to improve upon whatever it is you want to improve upon, and I hope that you feel appreciated and successful in whatever you hope to feel that in. And I also hope that you enjoyed yourself, because this is the end of the vlog. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.